Hey guys, how are you all? I'm pretty sure it must be so amazing. So today we have to continue our part 2 of digestion and absorption. I'm pretty sure you have seen the first lecture of that chapter, right? Digestion and absorption part 1. I'm pretty sure all of you have seen it. You like the video. And yes, we are just going to continue part 2 where I'm just going to explain whole anatomy of alimentary canal, right? So are you excited to learn it? Write down in the comment box. So yes, today we will be completing whole anatomy and transfer section of alimentary canal. Next class we will be starting physiology part, that whole 5 step of nutrition in the human, right? And then we will be doing diseases also. So let's start our anatomy of alimentary canal. And I'm pretty sure you have subscribed the channel. You're liking the video. And yes, let's start it now. So esophagus se start karenge because still pharynx, I have already made you complete all the things. And I'm pretty sure you have got your notes from Telegram. I have shared there. Those students who have not joined Telegram channel, I have given the link in the description box. You can join it, where I'll be sharing the PDF, and soon we will be sharing, we will be discussing lots of the questions there, right? Previous NEET questions. And plus those questions which are so important for the exam. So हम सारी चीजें discuss करेंगे. So please join that Telegram channel. And plus, I'm pretty sure that all of you have watched the part 1, and I'm just giving the link of the part 1 also. So just watch it if you have not watched it till now, right? So let's start with the esophagus. So let's start esophagus part because still pharynx we have already done in the previous class. So when we talk about esophagus, it's very long tube that start from this pharynx part and obviously open in the stomach, right? So it's 25 centimeter long tube and dorsal to heart and trachea. So this is the location. So obviously trachea and heart ke this is present dorsally to it, पीछे के side से आ रहा है. And it connect mouth to the stomach, that I have already told you, and it will be showing peristaltic movement. What is peristaltic movement? It's wave-like movement. So obviously bolus, that means food, and partially digested food that formed in the mouth, mixture of the food, mixture of saliva, वो जो पूरा ball जैसा structure मुंह में बनता है, that is known as bolus. So obviously bolus will be going to the stomach now, esophagus se. So esophagus will show this wave-like contraction, wave-like movement, so that it will be pushing food in the stomach. So series of wave-like muscle contraction that move food through the digestive tract, which you have to remember. Plus, you have to remember that obviously esophagus ke upper part mein there is a sphincter. Yes. So that is basically known as upper esophageal sphincter, and it is obviously in our control. So ये वो वाला पार्ट है जहां से हम गले से भी खाना बाहर निकाल सकते हैं, right? So we can just take out food up to certain like length, right? तो यहाँ पर esophagus के up to certain length we can just take out the food. And yes, sphincter is a special type of muscle, and it's a kind of door which is present at the opening of certain organs, right? Or which is present at the opening of like at the junction of two organs. So esophagus की ऊपर वाली opening is basically closed by upper esophageal sphincter. Whenever required, it will open, right? And it's voluntary in our control. Another one is this lower esophageal sphincter, which is present in the stomach and the esophageal opening. So obviously lower esophageal sphincter is involuntary, not in our control, and it is also known as cardiac sphincter. It is also known as gastroesophageal sphincter because it is present between the stomach and the esophagus, right? So gastro means stomach, esophagus means obviously esophagus tube. So at their junction, this door is present, this muscular involuntary door is present. It's involuntary sphincter, right? And it is not in our control, and obviously it will regulate passage of food to the stomach from esophagus, right? So sphincter is a special type of muscle, and this way food will be entering via this, esophagus contraction, right? So esophageal peristaltic movement. So you can see the GIF, है ना? Amazing GIF. So see, food has gone to the stomach and now stomach will digest, stomach acid will digest the food. We know already it is having enzymes also, and वो हम physiology part में पढ़ेंगे. Now food has entered to the stomach and we will be seeing what will happen in stomach. Obviously here we are having cardiac sphincter, and bacha this question they have asked in NEET, that which sphincter, cardiac sphincter is present at the opening of which junction? Gastroesophageal junction, right? Or this cardiac sphincter also known as lower esophageal sphincter, also known as gastroesophageal sphincter. Now, when we talk about stomach, it is J-shaped organ, very important for NEET. It temporarily store food for 4 to 5 hours, and because of the stomach muscle, churning of food will happen. Churning means चक्की पिसने वाली है stomach में. Muscular wall cause mixing of the food and gastric juice and form chyme here. So यानी यहाँ पर food along with the juices of stomach or stomach enzyme, along with the stomach enzyme, food is known as chyme. So chyme is partially digested food mixed with the gastric juices known as chyme. तो फूड को पेट में जाते ही बोल रहे हैं chyme because it is now mixed with the gastric juices, right? Now, inner layer of the stomach, mucosa means it is the internal layer of the stomach have the folds, and that is known as gastric rugae. NEET question. So you will be finding this statement in NEET, right? So gastric means stomach. Wherever you see the term gastric means related to stomach, साफ सीधा है, ठीक है? It will increase surface area to enhance friction with food so that food will break down while churning. तो churning के दौरान food टूटता जाएगा. It will be broken down into small pieces, right? And thoroughly mixed with the gastric juices. So that is the purpose of gastric rugae. And if we see the part of the stomach, first part is fundus. Then we are having cardiac part of the stomach. Cardiac means it's near the heart, इसलिए cardiac part है. Third part of stomach is body, and last part of stomach is pyloric, which will be opening into the intestine, small intestine region, duodenum of small intestine, right? So remember, this fundus region is important because it is basically, if we talk about fundus, right? So it is basically store gases, or gases are present here. So it's filled with the gases, right? So it is filled with gases. When we talk about cardiac part, so which are cardiac is, see this part, right? Where the esophagus basically draw food or release food. So food enter in stomach via esophagus in the cardiac region. They have asked this question also, right? So food enter here from the esophagus. Next, body is the part where main digestion happens. So main digestion happen in the stomach at the body part. So you have to remember this is the purpose of body region. And pyloric is the last part, posterior part of stomach, which will basically open into the esophagus, intestine, small intestine, duodenum region, right? So it's a posterior end of the, or posterior part of the stomach, right? So intestine, duodenum of intestine and pylorus part of the stomach have, in their junction, they are having the sphincter, and this sphincter is known as pyloric sphincter. So what is the purpose of this sphincter? Sphincter is a muscular door which will open and food will be pushed in the intestine. Intestine में खाना चला जाएगा, right? So this is the gastric rugae which they have shown here. So you can see this is the rugae. These are the folding of the stomach, inner wall of the stomach, which increase friction while churning of the food happening in the stomach, or churning होता है ऐसा. This is the churning happening. You can see here in the GIF, right? So this is the churning movement of the stomach. Now finally, food from stomach will move to the small intestine region, which is the longest part of alimentary canal. So जब ये longest है, तो why do we call it small intestine? Simple, because it has narrow diameter. Diameter छोटा है, narrow diameter है. That's why we call it small intestine S. It is the longest part of alimentary canal, right? And it is highly coiled structure. बहुत ज़्यादा coiled part है. Approx 7.5 meter in length, 6 to 7 meter of length. And remember one thing, small intestine is longer in herbivores animal. It is longer in herbivores animal, right? Because they need to digest cellulose, which require more time, so hence they require more long intestine. So longer in herbivores, you have to remember. They are having the special structures in the intestine region that we will be seeing. So when we see the inner part of the intestine, innermost layer of the intestine having the folds, this finger like projections known as microvilli. So small finger like projection is basically extended in the lumen means cavity, and inner lining of the stomach, inner wall of the stomach have these finger like projection villi. And what is the purpose of villi? Obviously, it will increase surface area for absorption, that we know. Even when we zoom out villi, अगर हम इस fold को zoom out करेंगे, तो we will be seeing that this coiled part cell also have small projection. Even the cell of these villi is made up of the microvilli cell. Microvilli means they also have small projection. So why microvilli, villi present in small intestine? Because maximum food absorption happen here, right? Plus we will be seeing that yes, it is having the lacteals also. That means it is having the small intestine have the lymphatic vessels are also, that I'll be showing you in the diagram. So you can see the diagram here. This is the small intestine ka villi. And if we see the villi ka layer, so it is also made up of the cell having small microvilli part, right? So obviously they are having the microvilli part. And villi have the rich blood supply, rich blood capillaries. We can see here, ये जो red and blue color का है arteries, veins, and plus these are capillaries. Rich blood capillaries for food absorption. And this yellow part, can you see this large lymph vessel? So bacha, this yellow part is actually lymph supply known as lacteal. And what is the purpose of lacteal? We will be seeing it will absorb fat. So we are going to see it in the physiology part. So hold on for some time, right? So lacteal is nothing but the large lymph supply here, right? Lymph vessel here to absorb fat. As simple as that, because fat cannot be absorbed by blood. Why? So we will be seeing it in the physiology part, next part. So hold on, right? So let me show you that obviously small intestine have three portions. First part is duodenum, that just open, stomach open in the first part, duodenum. Second part is jejunum, and third part is ileum. So obviously this duodenum part is the smallest part out of all the three parts. So you can see the diagram. So they are having this duodenum wider part, then they are having this jejunum part, and then jejunum open into the large intestine by ileum. So ileum is the last part. So duodenum is the first part of small intestine, C-shaped, NEET question. It is a shorter in size but widest means wider diameter, सबसे चौड़ा होता है. And maximum digestion of food happen here in the whole alimentary canal, important. Jejunum is the second part of small intestine, and even it is having the wall having the huge folds. So obviously suppose this is the inner layer, the inner layer have this kind of fold as we can see in the diagram. Can you see this fold? Can you see this membrane fold? So this is known as pilica circularis. So pilica circularis, valvulae connivens, Kirk ring valves, all are same. All are those folds in the jejunum. Why this mucosal fold is there? Why the inner lining have extra folds here? So that it will increase surface area for more absorption. Hence, jejunum involved in maximum absorption of food. So maximum absorption of everything, even water is maximally absorbed here. हर एक चीज maximally absorbed here. Even water maximally absorbed here, that we will be seeing in the physiology part, right? Now ileum is the third part of a small intestine and it's the longest part, NEET question. 3 to 5 meter overall इसकी length होती है, not centimeter, meter में होगा. highly coiled, and obviously it is red due to high blood supplies there, and it is having the characteristic feature, means it is only present in ileum. That means it is having Peyer's patches. What is Peyer's patches? It's a special lymphatic tissue present in the ileum region known as Peyer's patches, which will be helping in immunity. So it will provide immunity. So bacha, you have to remember that this is the characteristic feature of the ileum. You have to remember it. So that's all. मैंने हर एक part को I have elaborated. I have told you that what is the main function they will be asking in the exam, right? So if you are solving question of any module, if you are solving question of previous NEET, I'm pretty sure if you are listening to me carefully, you will be able to solve each and every question, right? So next we will be doing this. Obviously, this is the villi. Villi, you know, fold of the intestine, right? Fold of the inner lining of intestine, having the finger-like projections. And this is actually secretory part. So this is the absorptive part, means helping in absorption. So intestine ka fold, this fold is actually helping in absorption. So this is basically absorptive part of small intestine. And at the base of villi, there is a crypt of libercune. So, which a crypt of libercune, actually we will see that they are secreting intestinal juices. So, they are having secretory function. They will be secreting intestinal juices. That we will be seeing in the physiology part. तो जो crypt of libercune है, these are basically the spaces between at the base of the villi. So these are the spaces at the base of villi, right? So crypts present at the base of villi. So obviously this crypt present at base of villi. And what is the purpose of it? Obviously secretory part. Secretory purposes iska hai. After small intestine will be opening in the large intestine. We can see in the diagram. And you know what? This is the ileum part. And this is the cecum part of large intestine. So obviously ileum open into the large intestine at the cecum part. So obviously this is the why we called it large intestine, because it has wider diameter. And obviously length में तो it is short than small intestine, 1.5 meter का होता है. It's for 1.5 meter only. It is made up of cecum. Cecum is this sac-like structure. Blind sac-like structure means one side say it is closed, right? And obviously at that closed end have worm-like structure known as vermiform appendix. And obviously at the cecum region, ileum will be opening. That I will show you in the diagram. So this is the cecum region, blind sac pouch-like structure, and then it will be open in the whole colon. So this is the whole colon, and colon will be opening into rectum. Rectum will be opening into anus. So colon is the largest portion of the large intestine, as we can see in the diagram. So let's start one by one. So let's start with the cecum. So bachcho, when we talk about cecum, this is this blind sac pouch, blind sac like structure known as cecum. And obviously it's blind sac, and here symbiotic bacteria live. It harbor symbiotic bacteria which will be helping us and taking some food from us, giving us vitamin and all, right? So obviously it is basically harbor microbes. So that is the purpose of cecum. Plus vermiform appendix is present at its end. So bacha, this is the vermiform appendix, means obviously worm-like structure, and it is vestigial organ in digestion. So it has no role in our digestion. It is vestigial organ in digestive system. But it is having the lymphoid. It acts as secondary lymphoid structure. That means it will be helping in immunity. It will be helping in defense. So matlab defense mein it is helping, but digestion mein it doesn't have any role. Useless in the digestion, right? Because we don't digest cellulose, क्योंकि हम तो भाई हमारे अंदर ये होगा नहीं. Herbivores animals still have vermiform appendix, functional in them, but we don't have functional वर्मीफॉर्म अपेंडिक्स, बिकॉज वी डोंट ईट कच्ची ग्रास, है ना. रॉ ग्रास तो अब हम खा नहीं रहे हैं, पका कर ही खा रहे हैं सब चीजें. सो ऑब्वियसली वी जस्ट डोंट नीड टू डाइजेस्ट सेलुलोज दिस टाइम, सो वी आर नॉट हैविंग दिस फंक्शनल वेस्टिजियल वर्मीफॉर्म अपेंडिक्स. Ileocecal valve is basically present. Sphincter, it's a valve. Actually, it's valve, right? And what is the function of valve? It will basically, oh sorry, here it is present, right? So this is the ileum of small intestine and this is the cecum of large intestine. So it is present between ileum and cecum region, and which is known as ileocecal valve. So this is ileocecal valve, means it is present in the ileum and cecum region, at the junction of the ileum and cecum. And valve means prevent the backflow. So whatever undigested fecal matter has gone to, is moved, is basically pushed by small intestine to large intestine, that fecal matter would not come back. तो बेटा वो जो fecal matter है ना, वो पीछे नहीं आने वाला है, right? So that is the purpose of villi, and it separates small and large intestine. We know it, right? Appendicitis, itis means inflammation. So appendicitis means appendix inflammation हो जाता है, bacterial infection हो जाता है, and अगर बहुत severe infection हुआ, and if it gets ruptured, it will spread disease in whole coelom, पूरी body cavity में disease कर देगा, फैला देगा. So it will spread that infection in the whole body and obviously can cause death in that case. So obviously when a person having appendicitis inflammation, we just cut it surgically. We just remove it surgically so that it won't spread the disease in whole body, right? So obviously when we talk about colon, which is the second part, we are done with the cecum. This is the ileum, and obviously ileum open into the cecum, having the valve there, ileocecal valve, which we have already done. Now I will be telling you about the colon. So colon divided into 5 sections, right? So one is the ascending colon, second is the transverse colon, sorry 4 section में ये होता है. So next is the descending colon, and fourth one is the sigmoid, S-shaped colon, you can see here, right? Hepatic flexure. Flexure means obviously it is basically moving. It is basically, coiling here or turning here. So that turning point is present near the liver. Hepatic means liver. Flexure means obviously turning point. So it is turning near the liver, so known as hepatic flexure. And here it is turning at the spleen region, so obviously known as splenic flexure. So obviously this is splenic flexure. It is the hepatic flexure क्योंकि वो turn उस region में कर रहा है. And now it will be opening into the rectum region that we will be seeing. So obviously if we see the outer structure of the colon, it will be having longitudinal muscle. यहाँ पर बाहर की तरफ से 3 longitudinal muscle is there. You can see this light pink color, है ना? So this is actually tinea coli, which is basically 3 separate longitudinal smooth muscle on the outside of ascending, transverse, descending and sigmoid colons is present. So tinea coli, ये जो light pink color का structure है, this light pink color structure present outside running throughout the colon is basically tinea coli. And yes, I have told you 2 flexures is there. One is the hepatic flexure because it is turning at the liver side, at the point of the liver, and splenic flexure, it is turning down at the level of the spleen. So that's why we are having 2 flexure here. Next part is rectum. So when we talk about rectum, we know that rectum basically sigmoid colon open into the rectum, and it will store it will help in temporary storage of fecal matter. So it will temporary store fecal matter. That is the purpose of it. And obviously when it is filled, so we will be having the urge of defecation. We will just go to washroom and flush it out, right? So anus, then rectum कहाँ खुलेगा? Anus में. And anus have 2 sphincter. One is external sphincter, which is skeletal, means voluntary, it is in our control. Another one is the internal anal sphincter, which is smooth muscle, involuntary, not in our control. So anal sphincter basically present at the anus, and what is the, basically we are having 2 sphincter here, internal and external. एक हमारे कंट्रोल में है, another one is not in our control. So we can control fecal matter for certain time, up to a certain limit, when like lots of the fecal matter filled in the rectum, filled in the anus, so what will happen? Huge pressure will be generated, and if we are trying to control it after certain limit, nothing, we cannot control it. Internal sphincter will open, and once internal sphincter open, फिर तो external को कोई नहीं रोक सकता, not even us. फिर पैड पे, राइट? सो फिर ऑब्वियसली दैट फीकल मैटर विल गो आउट. यू इट्स मतलब इट्स इन योर कंट्रोल. फीकल मैटर डेफिकेशन इज इन योर कंट्रोल, बट अप टू सर्टेन लिमिट. एक लिमिट के बाद यू विल लूज कंट्रोल, राइट? And even in children, even in the like infants में external sphincter is not well developed, right? It's not well developed in case of infants, so that's why they cannot control their defecation, है ना? So it's not well developed in infants. लेकिन after some time, obviously they have the control over the external anal sphincter and they can control their fecal matter for some time. वो अपने आप करने देते हैं, right? So we will be seeing the transverse section of alimentary canal now. So the whole alimentary canal ka transverse section I'll be telling you. So obviously this is our body wall. Suppose we cut our body wall. So this is our body wall. And inside the body wall, we are having this gut cavity. है ना? So obviously inside the body wall, we are having the gut cavity. So that means body wall is a tube, and inside it there is another tube, which is our alimentary canal, and we will be seeing the transverse section of it. Transverse section अब हम करके देखेंगे, right? So obviously this is the coelom, and obviously all the coelom, this cavity of the body is filled with all the parts, all the internal parts, and एक उसमें से है gut. So beta, we will be studying the gut ka transverse section. This gut ka transverse section I'll be showing you, right? So outer layer of the gut is serosa, second layer is muscularis, third layer is submucosa, and fourth layer is mucosa. And then this is the gut जहां से food अंदर जाएगा. Means this is the alimentary canal का cavity from where food is moving. So I have just cut the pipe and seen the pipe का transverse section, right? So I'll be seeing the transverse section of this pipe. तो ये अंदर की cavity है जहां से food will be entering. So I'll be telling you each and every part in very, very detailed way. So let's start with the serosa part. Outermost layer, it is absent in esophagus. Esophagus में there is no serosa layer, and it is made up of serosa layer made up of simple squamous epithelium which is mesodermal in origin. तो ये mesoderm का है, इसलिए इसको mesothelium बोलते हैं. And obviously those squamous epithelium which are mesodermal in origin known as mesothelium, and plus serosa layer also made up of areolar tissue, and you know this is the connective tissue. Areolar connective tissue से बना हुआ है outer layer. Muscularis is the second layer of the alimentary canal that we have seen. ये throughout the GIT present है. तो out of like throughout GIT, obviously outer longitudinal fiber is present and inner वाला circular muscle is there. So outer longitudinal and inner circular muscle is there. But in stomach, exception, NEET question. So but in stomach we are having outer longitudinal, we are having middle circular muscle, and innermost is oblique muscle. So they are having one extra muscle in the second layer of the alimentary canal in stomach. So stomach के लिए they will be asking question in NEET, and you have to remember this answer. Submucosa is the third outermost, मतलब outermost अगर हम जाएंगे third layer is basically submucosa layer. So this is the serosa, muscularis, longitudinal and muscular, circular muscle, and then submucosa layer. So submucosa layer is made up of loose connective tissue, areolar connective tissue they are having, nerve supply, blood supply, lymphatic supply, and it is same throughout the gastrointestinal tract, throughout the GIT. But in duodenum there is exception, that submucosa में there is no gland anywhere in the GIT except duodenum. So duodenum में there is a gland known as Brunner's gland that we will be doing in the physiology part, and this Brunner's gland is the exception because in duodenum this gland present at the submucosa layer, and rest of all the alimentary glands actually present in mucosa layer, not in submucosa, and this is the only gland which present in the submucosa layer. NEET question. So I have told you many NEET questions from these topics. Mucosa, innermost layer, and RUGAE in the stomach. RUGAE means obviously gastric RUGAE, folds. So obviously in mucosa layer is modified in different organ. So mucosa modified into gastric RUGAE in stomach. In small intestine, it is modified into villi. And obviously, it surrounds the lumen of GIT. Lumen means inner cavity is lined by the mucosa layer. Innermost layer hai ye, hai na? So, comes into direct contact with chyme. Chyme is nothing, I have told you, obviously food mixed with the gastric juices. So, means it is direct contact with the juices and food. This layer in contact with the juices and the food, right? So, that they have mentioned it here. So mucosa layer जो है means innermost layer itself divided into 3 layers. मतलब सब mucosa, जो mucosa innermost layer which is just lining the cavity, gut cavity, actually made up of 3 cellular lining. So innermost lining of the mucosa is submucosa, तो मतलब ये वाला submucosa, sorry, epithelium, and this is the muscular layer. And then they are having the they are having lamina propria and they are having the muscular layer. तो मतलब इसकी खुद की भी मसल होती हैं. So mucosa layer further have इसकी खुद की 3 layers. So it is epithelium. It is where most digestive, absorptive, secretory processes occur. So this is the innermost part, है ना? So कौन सा epithelium? Which epithelium present in which region? NEET question. Buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus and anus present non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. I'm pretty sure you have done it in the structural organization chapter. So non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium actually present in the moist region. So it is basically present here in this part, and columnar, simple columnar epithelium present in stomach and intestine. NEET question. So they have asked this question also. Even intestine have the, even if we talk about small intestine, तो small intestine के पास तो microvilli, columnar, this brush border columnar is present, right? So if we talk about small intestine, तो small intestine का innermost layer basically made up of which epithelium? I have told you microvilli wala. So microvilli, that means brush border, columnar epithelium. So this is something which you have to remember, and we have already done it in the epithelium part, right? तो मतलब जो innermost layer है mucosa का made up of epithelium, and in all alimentary canal different epithelium is present. So you have to remember which part have which epithelium cell. Middle layer is lamina propria, called lamina propria, having connective tissue. It is having areolar tissue, blood vessel, plus all the glands of GIT, all the digestive glands present in the lamina propria of mucosa layer. So that means mucosa layer have all the glands, right? पूरे GIT के glands present in the mucosa layer except Brunner's gland of duodenum, which is present in submucosa layer. NEET question. And even lamina propria have mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. MALT means mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, which will help in defense. Lymph tissue का काम ही defense में होता है. Lymphoid tissue which will provide immunity to us, right? It will provide immunity to us, provide immunity. That is the purpose of it. And yes, the outermost part of this particular mucosa layer is muscularis, and this is known as muscularis interna, क्योंकि ये अंदर वाली layer है. This is the layer of the mucosa, not the muscle layer of the whole alimentary canal. तो ये mucosa की खुद की muscle है, interna, muscularis interna इसको बोलते हैं, made up of smooth muscle, outer longitudinal, inner circular, same this arrangement is there, right? So ये खुद की mucosa की layer है. This is the layer of mucosa, and you know what is the mucosa? Mucosa is this innermost lining. So means mucosa layer further have 3 layers. Innermost layer is epithelium, then middle is the lamina propria where the glands and all present, And yes, outermost layer of the mucosa made up of its own muscularis interna. So interna muscle से बनती है. And obviously this muscle is obviously the main muscle, second layer of the whole alimentary canal. It is known as externa muscularis क्योंकि ये खुद की उसकी बाहर की एक muscle है, right? So that's all. This is all about the alimentary canal. Now this alimentary transverse section of alimentary canal, if we do, they are having the nervous system also. So they are having certain plexus means obviously collection of nerves. So they are having bundle of nerves known as orbic plexus. So it is the collection of unmyelinated nerve fiber, unmyelinated nerves, which is basically present between circular and longitudinal muscle. So you know what is the where is the circular and longitudinal muscle? इन दोनों के बीच में present होगा. Here somewhere here. So here orbic plexus is present, and what is the purpose of it? Muscles के पास present है तो it will trigger muscle to move for the churning, for the peristaltic movement, so that food will be going in the alimentary canal. Churning of the food happening because of this orbic plexus, because ये वाला nervous का गुच्छा वहां पर है, bundle is there, nerve bundle is there. Another plexus, another bundle of nerve is submucosal plexus. So where it is present? Obviously submucosal layer of GIT. And what is its purpose? Because it is present in submucosa layer. So obviously it will trigger the secretion of glands. So obviously it will trigger secretion of glands. So obviously gland will secrete enzymes in the cavity. So that is the purpose of the Meissner's plexus. So you can see it here. They have given the whole complicated diagrams. You can see this is the lumen. Then obviously this is the mucosa part. They have given all the things here. You can see in the diagram, right? That's all. तो जो main part था वो ये है सारे. I have told you all the things in elaborative way, and I'm pretty sure you like the video. Hit the like button, share it with your friend, share it with your friends, and I'm pretty sure you have subscribed the channel. We will be continuing physiology part, and they have given this transfer section of transfer section of small intestine and large intestine. So small intestine have villi, but they don't have villi. Large intestine not have villi. Some crypts are there. Crypts means obviously spaces are there, but no, at least no villi is there because no absorption happen in large intestine. I mean, very less absorption happen in large intestine. Maximum absorption happen in small intestine. Baki to as such there is no difference. You can see it here, but innermost layer is different because they are having different purposes, है ना? So thanks a lot, bacha. Stay happy, and in case you have any doubt, you can send it on the Telegram, Instagram. So I have given you link in the description box. PDF you will be getting in the Telegram channel. I have given the link in description box, and I'm pretty sure you enjoyed this session. Write down in the comment box. Bye bye. Have a great day. Part 3 के साथ start करेंगे. Part 1 का playlist का link I have mentioned in that playlist. So bye bye. Have a great day. See you all. Bye bye.